Hello everybody and welcome to my monthly Vietnam update. July was an uneventful month and the VN index traded in a narrow range around the 1200 level. The index finally stopped its decline, managing to close the month slightly positive with plus 0.78%. Our portfolio once again outperformed the market and advanced by plus 2.4% according to internal estimates. Due to the fact that the Vietnamese government arrested some high-level real estate and stock manipulators back in April this year, the VN index corrected by around 20% and is now trading at very attractive levels with a 2022 forward P ratio of 11.5 times and seems to have formed the bottom at the 1200 level. Hi, my name is Andreas Vogelsanger. I'm the CEO of the AFC Vietnam Fund. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and switch on the bell so you don't miss any uploads. Domestic retail investors have been burned, but don't write them off yet. The Vietnamese stock market was and still is driven by domestic retail investors. And over the last 2 or 3 years, this situation was accentuated given the large influx of small retail investors who opened stock brokerage accounts and became active on the stock market. Many of them are unfortunately not very sophisticated and are often trend followers based on rumors. Their trading activity can be seen when observing the advanced decline ratio, especially on the Hanoi Stock Exchange, where many small and speculative stocks are listed. With the outbreak of COVID-19 at the beginning of 2020, declining stocks clearly outnumbered advancing stocks, at least in the short term, but soon advancing stocks took over again and the stock market started to recover. This positive sentiment lasted until April 2022, when the government arrested some high-level stock market and real estate manipulators. And the advanced decline ratio on the Hanoi Stock Exchange started to decline again. This correction seemed to have to come to an end now, given that short-term speculators finished their selling and the balance between sellers and buyers is neutral again. Even though most domestic retail investors have probably been burned over the past few months, the influx of new retail investors opening stock trading accounts hasn't stopped. In the first 6 months of 2022, a staggering 1.8 million new accounts were opened, and bringing the number of total accounts in Vietnam to 6.1 million accounts. This equates to over 6% of Vietnam's population, which is still relatively low when comparing to, for example, Taiwan, with a penetration rate of over 90%. Enterprise earnings growth is on track. So far, about half of all companies listed on the Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange have published their results, and around 98% of those companies were profitable in the first half of 2022. We continue to focus on insurance companies, which are expected to benefit from an increasing interest rate environment, and consumer companies from a strong post-COVID-19 recovery. We also see great opportunities now in the banking sector, after most stocks have corrected around 40 to 50%. Many bank stocks are now trading at the book value ratio of around 1 time and forward 2022 P ratios of around 5 times. As mentioned in our last report, LPB particularly stands out after stock corrected and is now trading at around 51% of its peak back in June 2021. And LPB is now trading at 7.3 times with a forward PE ratio of even 4 times and the price book ratio of 1.1 time. LPB also just reported its results, first half year results, with an impressive earnings growth of around 76%. And that's only in the first 6 months of 2022. We believe that the insurance sector will continue to benefit from a rising interest rate environment, and banks in general will face many difficulties in the short term. However, LPP might be an exception and looks certainly attractive and undervalued at these levels. In our view, even if we do not exactly know when the stock will rebound again and trade at fair value, it is an attractive opportunity. Given that we are quite positive about the economic outlook of Vietnam, we are quite comfortable with the risk-reward ratio of this investment. Vietnam catches up with global ESG trends. The past decade has seen a significant rise in demand for businesses to be transparent about their environmental, social and governance performance, including their contribution to local economies. In Vietnam, the framework with regard to environmental, social and other sustainable development issues is fairly new, especially for businesses. However, Vietnam is catching up with global ESG trends and is implementing new laws to tackle ever-increasing environmental, social and government challenges. The Vietnamese government recently approved a detailed national strategy on green growth up to 2030 with a vision to 2050. Also, the new law on investment from June 2020 describes how to achieve ESG policy objectives for foreign direct investments, but also includes guidelines on the disclosure of information on the securities market, which sets out certain ESG reporting requirements for public and listed companies in Vietnam. In parallel with the developments in the state legislation, numerous state bodies, especially the State Securities Commission of Vietnam, as well as non-governmental organizations in Vietnam, have worked out gradually to introduce guidance and policies to raise awareness and enhance ESG practices of Vietnamese businesses. In July 2017, the Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange launched the Sustainable Development Index, VNSI, on the HOSE, so the Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange. Hereby, all listed companies on the exchange are required to either produce a separate Sustainable Development Report or to include this information in their annual report. The continuous improvement in ESG legislation, policies and corporate governance have been attracting investments into Vietnamese companies from foreign investors, such as, for example, the AFC Vietnam Fund, who is taking into account ESG criteria when investing in local companies. The biggest difference between now and a few years ago is that ESG was once a mere cost item in the perception of local businesses, but now they have seen the fruits of their investments. Many Vietnamese listed companies have made a strong commitment to ESG and are focusing on their transition to example, embrace renewable energy, to continuously improve local standards and to improve corporate governance. The popularity of ESG investments will raise ESG awareness among local businesses, and Vietnamese companies will be incentivized to move toward more sustainable development and growth. Companies with strong sustainable values and robust ESG standards will have much better access to capital in the future. This wraps up our July report, and I would like to thank you all for listening to me. You're gonna hear again from me next month with my August update. Goodbye, everybody.